Thanks for joining us on Facebook Live. I'm Jonah Javad from Channel 2 Sports, and we have a very special guest in the house tonight, legendary Bills coach Marv Levy. Marv, thanks for coming, man. Appreciate it.
My pleasure to be here to visit with you and with all the great fans here.
Well, we want to talk to you a bit. First of all, why don't you tell us what brings you to town this weekend?
Well, first of all, the Bills are playing, the Broncos, but many of my former players and players from other eras, too, are going to be back here. Andre Reed, Bruce Smith, there's a get-together, Darryl Talley. I can go on for a while, but seeing them, visiting with the fans, Buffalo Bills football, those are all great reasons. Not only that, the weather's pretty darn good.
It's pretty good, right? And you were a meteorologist back in the
during
day?
World War II, I enlisted right after I graduated high school in the middle of the war in the Army Air Corps, they called it then. But you had to have 20/20 vision, and I didn't quite have it, so they moved me over. I became a meteorologist, yes, during the war.
All right, well, this event is called the Buffalo Fan Fest. It starts at 8 a.m., goes till 12 noon on Sunday. It's at Wings, right by the stadium, and there's going to be, what, a dozen, maybe 24 Bills alumni there?
Yes, there'll be quite a few alumni, many from the era, as I said, when I was there, some from before and some from after. There'll be autograph signings, meeting with the fans, meet and greet, and I'm sure looking forward to it. It's always fun.
And some money going to charity as well, I believe.
Yes, and charity will be recipient of much of the income from it.
A great cause, great event, and we hope you can make it out there on Sunday morning. But let's turn our attention toward this weekend for you outside of football. When you come back to Buffalo, is there anything that you like to do, any traditions that you keep?
Well, there are a number of restaurants in town that we always enjoy visiting. Ilio DiPaolo's, to name one, Russell Salvatore's. And I'm sorry to start to name them because I can't name them all. There are so many, even down here, downtown where we are staying at the Embassy Suites. But coming back, and the architecture grabs me again. The memories are rekindled. The fans are great. It's always just a delight.
How often do you come back?
I would have to guess 5-6 times a year. Okay. There's reason to come back, yes.
So besides eating well, what are your expectations for this weekend? Maybe a prediction for Sunday?
Oh, predicting the winner is easy, Jonah. Being right, that's the hard part. And no, for me to pretend that I've studied these teams to the degree that I did during the time I was coaching would be a mistake. It's an up for grabs one. I think the Broncos are a little bit favored, but the Bills are at home, so that sort of evens out. And you know who I'll be pulling for, the Bills.
No doubt, a good defensive battle. What do you think of new Bills head coach Sean McDermott? You've spoken about him a little bit since he was hired.
Yes, I spoke to him to congratulate him. I knew a bit about him beforehand. He did very well as an assistant in the league. He went to the College of William and Mary, and I coached at William and Mary, and they were the most remarkable people you've ever known. By the way, Mark Kelso was a William and Mary guy. Mike Tomlin, now the head coach, so successful at Pittsburgh, is. The coach at William & Mary, a guy named Jimmy Laycock, has been there about 40 years, played quarterback for me. All the William & Mary players I coached, every single one of them graduated. They are the essence of the great student athlete. My few communications with Sean have been very cordial. I think they hired a fine guy to step into that spot.
What do you see for the Bills now and for the future? When you took over as head coach, the Bills weren't making 4 Super Bowls in a row at that time, and you brought them to that level. Do you see any similarities to that era to now?
I can't say any era is similar to the one before. Sure, there are some. I think one of them is a very dedicated owner. We had a fantastic owner in Ralph Wilson, and I'm hearing such wonderful things about Terry Pegula and what he's meant. First of all, he starts out by wanting to keep the team here in Buffalo, which is a great step forward in the right direction. I'm optimistic about what lies ahead, and I'm no longer a Bills coach, but I sure am a Bills fan.
How much do you follow them over the course of the season?
Not nowhere near to the degree. Oh, I look at their stats after every game, but I couldn't recite the whole roster. I couldn't name every assistant coach. In fact, I'm blown away. I went through the media manual the other day. There are 19 assistant head coaches. We had about 6 or 7. When I first came into the league, there were 4 assistants. It sort of boggles my mind that there are that many, but everything changes over time.
Well, one thing that hasn't changed over time is your love for the Chicago Cubs.
Oh, yeah.
Which I can respect. What was it like this past fall, getting to see them win the World Series?
Well, let me give you a little historic background. I grew up in Chicago as a Cubs fan. In 1945, I was in service. The war had just ended. I was home on furlough late in, I think it was early October. The Cubs were in the World Series. They won the 6th game, sending it to a 7th. A friend of mine rushed down, and I rushed down to Wrigley Field, hoping to get tickets. The line was 3 miles long, out of sight, but they moved everybody in uniform up to the front of the line. So I saw the last game the Cubs played, the 7th game of the World Series in 1945. They lost. Everybody exited the stadium and said, wait till next year. Well, 71 years later, next year finally came, and I was blown away because I do know some people in the Cubs organization. They knew I had been at the last World Series game. They invited me to come and be the honored service honoree at one of the World Series games the Cubs played at home, but they finally won it after 108 years, longer than my lifetime.
What was that Game 7 like for you?
Oh, that was and I was so proud. I talk about the fine fans here in Buffalo, and they are, of the people in Buffalo, the fans. After that tremendous win they waited for so long for, yes, they celebrated, but there are no broken windows, no overturned taxi cabs, no rioting in the street, just euphoria that they'd won.
Are we going to expect that in Buffalo when the Super Bowl finally comes here?
I believe so.
Yeah.
These are the best fans.
You're going to lead the parade down Delaware when that happens, right?
Well, if they can keep up with me, I'll be moving at a quick pace. Yeah.
Love to hear it. Any final words for our viewers at home getting a chance to watch this? I know they don't get to see it as often as they once did, but I think some fans could be looking for some pep talk or positive words from the coach.
I don't think people don't tune into pep talks; they tune out. Play hard, play clean, play to win, but win or lose, dig right back in. That would be mine.
Thank you, Marv, for coming on. We appreciate it. Buffalo Fan Fest this Sunday morning. Be sure to check it out and get a chance to spend time with legendary Bills coach Marv Levy. Marv, thanks for joining us here at WGRZ.
My pleasure, Jonah. It's been a pleasure.